Alright everyone, let's get started. So to create this distressed background, what I did was I grabbed a panel. It measures 4 by 5.5, so it's a little bit different than my standard card front size. And I grabbed the Time to Say Thanks stamp from Create a Smile, and I laid out the various leaves on the bottom, starting with the bottom right hand corner, and then working my way in sort of a swoosh motion from the bottom of the card to the top of the card along the right hand side. So I laid down the 4 leaves, and I also decided to pick out my sentiment at this point and lay that down as well. Now I picked them all up at the same time to save some time for stamping, and I used my Versamark ink and I inked all along the stamps and stamped them onto my panel. What I like about the Misty, you just need to make sure that you touch every inch of the stamp and then it will stamp perfectly fine. And then I'm going to go in with some white embossing powder and heat emboss that. So it's going to create a resist effect against the color on the background, and it will stay nice, white, and crisp. I'm using Ranger Superfine Embossing Powder. This is my favorite white embossing powder. Just tapped along the back to get any excess off the card and grabbed my heat tool and melted the embossing powder. Once that was finished, I was all ready for distressing. I used several colors here for this card. I started off with some Candied Apple, which is one of the 2015 new colors, and I started in the bottom corner, and I wanted to create sort of an ombre look from one bottom corner to the top of the opposite corner. I then went in with some Abandoned Coral, and it's just slightly lighter than the Candied Apple and mellowed out the Candied Apple. Then I took some Ripe Persimmon and continued on with that, so it's going into more of an orangey pink color at this point. And then I continued on with an actual orange color, which was the Carved Pumpkin, and then started to brighten up the card with the orange and going into more of a yellow tone. So my blending tips I've shared many times in many videos, and I have a Distress Ink playlist as well in my on my channel, and pretty much I just used a circular motion. I build up the color slowly, and I add no pressure to my hand, and I ink up every couple of seconds, and then I just go along. It does take a while to build up the card. In real time, this background took me 12 minutes. So that'll give you an idea of exactly how long it took me to build up the color so that I don't get any harsh lines. This last color that I'm using is Squeezed Lemonade. You could also use Mustard Seed if you want a less vibrant look. I also went in with the Squeezed Lemonade over top of the other colors to brighten them up and make that blend between the orange and the yellow a little bit better. Next up, I took my card base. It measures 11 by 4¼ inches. This is my standard size A2 card base. Measures, and it folds at the top. And I grabbed a boning folder and just reinforced the fold. Now usually I stick my panel right in the middle of my card, leaving a nice white border around it, but this I cut a little bit differently, which meant that I actually cut it so that lengthwise it was the same as my card base, but it left a little bit of a white space on one side. I just thought adding that little extra white space was very effective. After I was finished with that, I toyed with the idea of adding a little bit of washi tape or something over top of that white area, but I decided against it, and I grabbed my Nuvo drops and added some white enamel dots. I added quite a few to this card. Now what was really cool, after they had dried, I actually accidentally put them underneath a book, and so they actually flattened. So if you want Nuvo drops to fit really nicely in the mail and not be too 3D, you can actually put something heavy on top after they've dried, and they'll flatten quite nicely, as you'll see in the photo. So that's the end of today's card tutorial. I hope you enjoyed the distressed background and my Create a Smile tutorial. All the supplies used are listed below in the video description or on my blog. Here you can click to go to my blog. You can click on either moving video to check out other tutorials I created this week, or you can click on the subscribe button to subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to check out my playlist section of my channel as well, where I have a Distress Inks class as well as a Create a Smile video playlist. Thanks for watching.